Welcome to the One Job, One Offer Coach. Brought to you by myhdcareer.com and HD Career Consulting. Hey, Bree here, your One Job, One Offer Coach. And I just wanted to check in with you before we get started. If you're struggling to do work happy and you're trying to figure out how to be the best human at work and at home that you're meant to be, you're in the right place. We're about ready to get started, so grab a pen and piece of paper, and I'll see you on the interwebs. How goes it, Internet? My HD Career community and my Work Happy Career Strategy fam. Okay. Today, let's chat about, what are we going to chat about? We're going to chat about why your career pivot is not working, or in all intents and purposes is broken, or sometimes, like I say, broken. Broken's a good word. Okay. If you're trying to make a career pivot or a career transition, change into another field, okay, there's three components to making that change that are important to understand, okay? So what do I mean by when I say this a lot? And so I'm going to go in another video. So I'm going to create another video to tell you about what I mean about a transition versus a pivot, right? All these different terms, okay? But know this, when you're getting ready to move out of your field in some capacity, either partially or fully, there's three components you need to take inventory of, okay? If you do not do this, then making your pivot or change or whatever is going to be excruciatingly painful, okay? So number one, it is knowledge, okay? So I want you to write that down, knowledge. Component number one of making any sort of successful transition, pivot, or change starts with scoping your knowledge, okay? Now, when I talk about knowledge, what I'm referring to is your scope or scope, depth, and breadth of knowledge, information, understanding, right, that you have of a particular subject matter, field, or industry, okay? Particularly subject matter, okay? And when I talk about knowledge with clients, I'm talking about when I say scope, depth, and breadth of their knowledge I'm referring to one of the theoretical frameworks by Bloom's, which is called the Bloom's taxonomy, right? There's a hierarchy of learning and a hierarchy that includes knowledge, understanding, application. There's a couple of others. I'll give you another video on it, okay? But what is the scope, depth, and breadth of your knowledge, okay? Of whatever ideal position you're trying to target, okay? So that's the first one. Number two, the next one is skills, okay? This is a tricky one, okay? The thing about skills is oftentimes I'll get people that'll be like, I want to do this new kind of position or role, and I have all the skills, right? Skills, when I say skills, I'm talking about you can communicate, you're a good salesman, or you have good sales experience, that you have good sales skills, follow-up, communication, writing, typing, attention to detail, organization, coordination. Those are all skills, okay? And we always talk about this in our field of workforce development and career development is, skills transferability. We should be talking about skills transferability. Yes, we should be talking about skills transferability. But however, when you talk about being able to perform a position effectively, there's these three components, and skills are just one of them. So just because you have a really well-developed skill of coordinating things doesn't mean that you're going to be good at said position with these other two things. Now, if you have the skills, but you don't have the knowledge and you don't have this third one, then you could be trained, right? Everybody's like, well, why couldn't you train them? This is a really good question. Training is expensive, okay? Not all companies can afford to train you. That's why you see positions with the various levels of experience and knowledge requirements. I just gave you a hint on what the third one is. In the position type or position profile, okay? So they require those things because they don't necessarily have the resources, or they're not, whether they do or I don't want to get into philosophical about whether or not they should, could, or whatever. That's not the point, at least for this video. The point is that skills are transferable, absolutely. Okay. But just having transferable skills alone are often not enough to help you with entering a different field. Okay. This, interestingly, when you talk about changing careers, you go back to being a new professional profile, sort of. Okay. New professional being no experience. You're having to do skills communication and then bring in a bunch of credibility, like, experiences to justify your credibility and being able to do the job. As a working professional or an adult who's already had a career or a couple of jobs, you might have some knowledge stuff that you can contribute, as well as skills developed, right? With a smattering of number 3, which is experience. Okay. So I see all the time on LinkedIn that they're talking about, you can get into any position without the experience. There's a way. But if you're doing the front door method, when I talk about the front door method, I mean going through the application process, submitting the resumes, going through the rigmarole of the recruiting process, you need to have experience in order to make it more of an effective search, okay? And to fit the one job, one offer profile concept, okay? Or principle. Your hill is going to be very large to climb, full stop, if you do not have experience and you cannot remedy the knowledge component, okay? Now, again, there's some other ways to go about getting access, but if you're trying to make a fast, quick, and efficient pivot, then the 3 core components would be knowledge, skills, and experience. So now let's talk about knowledge for a second, okay? And we'll talk about experience. Do I mean paid experience? Not always, okay? You can have experience and knowledge of something, of a specific role, of a specific industry, without actually getting paid for it. Volunteering is one really good way to be able to get knowledge, the first level of Bloom's taxonomy, on a particular subject matter. Case in point, a friend of mine, when I first started doing enrollment, they were stay-at-home mom. They took care of their children, and they were going to school. They finished their bachelor's degree. They also contributed to the foster care system. They were a foster parent. And they got their business degree. They had worked at a bank. They had customer service, they had communication skills, right? But then they also, for several years, worked with the foster care system. And that personal experience, okay, so the experience is personal, okay? And it was high contact. It wasn't like, one time I did this one thing for a foster care program. It was, they were intimately involved with the foster care system, okay? And they knew people there, and they developed a knowledge about the systems, processes, and procedures. Okay. They had a business degree, and they were able to take their customer service experience and their business experience along with their personal experience in the foster care system to be able to get a position with the county, in foster care. Okay. Working with aspects of the foster care system. Now, if you were to just walk into that field, you are going to want to probably have like social work, psychology, case management, some kind of experience like that. But this individual was able to pivot because they had personal, involved and engaged experiences, and then use their administrative background, because they were doing administrative aspects of the position, to be able to meet all 3 of those criterias. Okay. So if you are trying to make a career pivot and it's not working, you should take inventory. Take inventory right now. Am I missing some knowledge? I don't want you to tell me, I could do those things. That's something I could do. Because I want you to keep in mind that the meaning of the knowledge or the subject matter might differ. I use project management as an example often, okay? You say that you're a project manager. That's the knowledge and expertise you have, but in what kind of field and what kind of industry? That's really important in certain positions, okay? Experience. Saying you can is not the same thing as having or being able to demonstrate or having the data to demonstrate that you have the competency to do so. If you're applying for a position that's asking for this experience, then they're asking for it for a reason. They're not in a place to be able to train you, okay? They're looking for somebody that has the position or has the experience. If they didn't need the experience and they were willing to train you, then they would say no experience required, okay? With that said, keep in mind that if somebody who applies in the market who has experience, they're going to be on the top of the short list, right? So that's just some food for thought. But more importantly, if your career pivot, career change is broken or feels like it's broken, you're not getting results, it's probably because one of these three areas or combination of is not hitting the mark. Okay? So if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you on the internet, and I hope you're rocking the heck out of your work happy. Hey, I just wanted to thank you for listening and watching. If you like what you have heard or seen today, be sure to share, like, subscribe, and tag your friends. Until next time, I hope you rock the hell out of your work happy.